In this episode of Little Boat Adventures, we check out the town of Portaferry, have our last sail of the season, and haul the boat out for some much needed winter projects. So after a few drinks and something to eat the night before, me and Kelly returned to the boat and chilled out watching some movies. It is October. We had a heater on, but it ended up burning one of our blankets, so we turned it off and we didn't have it going over the night. So we both woke up pretty early, and that was due to being cold more than well rested or not sleeping well. So we thought we would get up and explore the town of Portaferry. This was our first time in Portaferry Marina, and the staff were great, really helpful. There's restaurants, shops and cafes all pretty close to the marina. We'll leave a link in the description with more information on Portaferry Marina.
Can you see the Albin?
Portaferry is quite a small town, but you can take a walk up to Windmill Hill, and there's a great view over Portaferry town, and you can see across Strangford Loch to the town of Strangford. You also get a great view of the Narrows, the notorious Narrows of Strangford Loch, and in the distance you can see the highest mountain peaks in Northern Ireland. That's the Mourne Mountains. So the old windmill ruin is open, and we just took a walk up the inside of it for a great view of the whole of County Down. Really, it's a great viewpoint, especially on a clear day like that. You can see for miles, and a great view up and down the loch. Now, what I didn't know and I had read on this day was the name Strangford comes from the Viking strong fjord, and if you've watched some of my other videos, you can see why. That this stretch of water, the Narrows, has a very strong tidal flow. So, accurately named by the Vikings. After our walk, we went for some lunch and then headed back to the boat to get ready for our last sail of the season, heading back from Portaferry up to White Rock. It was time to leave Portaferry, and Kelly was great here. As I had said in a previous video, the Albin Vega doesn't really reverse pretty well because of her long keel, and she's a pretty strong prop walk to port. So Kelly has just kind of helped us push back and pushes the bow of the boat out a bit to help us turn. Because just as we come out of the pontoon here, we've got rocks not far to our starboard, and as you can see, we've got boats to our port. So we wanted to give ourselves plenty of room to get past these boats and swing round to be able to go forward out of the marina. we've just left Portaferry Marina and just doing the opposite of the track we did yesterday, so just out up the Narrows and then up the main part of the loch back to our home mooring. We're just motoring at the minute because the wind is dead on the nose, but once we get out of the Narrows here and we turn to starboard and head north, the wind should be coming kind of from the northeast, so we might get a bit of close haul sailing done and back up the loch. It was a nice day in Portaferry, enjoyed it, and this is technically our last sail of the season, because like I say, the boat's coming out of the water next weekend, and Kelly and I are working all week, so there'll be no sailing done then. So this is it. Really, it's sad that it's been a very short season and well, I haven't got as much sailing done as we would have liked, but it's just the way things have been. But like I said, it's our last sail, so we'll enjoy the last bit of it anyway. Doing a great job. Good job, Smithy.
Having a good time? Come on, dolphins, you've got about 5 minutes.
So we arrived safely back at our mooring, only to be greeted by a tender which was full of water. It hadn't been raining, this was nothing new. The transom at the back of the tender there just leaks like crazy, so if you leave the tender for any length of time, it will just fill with water and be more like a paddling pool than a tender. So we are in the market for a new one. If anybody could recommend a brand or a good store to get one, we'd really appreciate that. And that was our sailing season over. 2020 was a bit of a washout because of COVID, but we have big plans for 2021 and getting the boat hauled out and getting some boat projects done.
See you later!
End of the season. So the following week it was time to bring out the boat for winter storage and begin some projects that we needed to do. So you've probably seen this process in a previous video, but if you haven't, what we did was lower the trailer down when the tide was out, down the slipway, and when the tide had come in it just left the trailer underwater, but with the kind of posts popping up out of the water, and that was to guide us onto the trailer. So it's a process that can be tricky enough, especially if there's a bit of wind or tide pushing you to the side. But it was a lovely calm day, as you can see. The only real issue I was concerned about was there was another trailer in the water and it was waiting to take out another much larger boat after me. So it was just a case of being able to steer around that onto our trailer, which was parked just kind of off to the front. I had some help on the boat and that made it so much easier. As soon as you can get the boat in, and the guys on the deck then can get the boat secured to the upright poles. That was it. So we just had the tractor then pull the boat up out of the water and stand on the hard for a short period, and I took a power washer and just washed off any creatures growing on the hull and keel there. But I was actually quite impressed. Although it was a short season, I was quite impressed. The Jotun anti-foul that we had put on came out with very little growth on it at all, in comparison to some of the other boats that came out. But I think that was more so that we were probably a month or so behind everybody else launching. But yeah, I didn't have to do much work at all to remove any debris from the bottom of the boat. And so it was just a case then of parking the boat up, which was difficult because of the length of the steering arm on the trailer. But the guys persisted and got it safely into our hard standing. And that was it. That was our 2020 sailing season over, and the list of projects that we had to do started growing and growing. But we look forward to getting them underway and continuing to get the boat where we want it to be. And although 2020 was a short sailing season, we had some great times. Here's a look back at some of them. Thanks again for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. For other ways to support our channel and the production of these videos, there are some links in the description below.